Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Barely Bookish podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about Interview with the Vampire, the TV show, and we are on episode 6. And I'm joined once again by Candace.
Hi.
So, our main man Louis is having a slow healing process, and apparently he can't fly, but Lestat can. And yeah. So, as we left
Mm-hmm.
you last episode, Louis dropped out of the
Mm-hmm.
sky onto the concrete. Lestat nowhere to be found now. So Louis and Claudia are just trying to pick up the semblance of life, the shambles of life, I guess, that they had
Yep.
before. Ugh,
Mm-hmm.
this.
Trying to go back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
But who can go back to normal when you have surprise visits from your ex all the time?
Yeah, literally. Lestat's trying to win them back. Claudia and Louis are like trying to clean up the house and like make it bearable. Claudia also is trying to have
Mm-hmm.
Louis do like really cute rehab by like releasing a goat into their house. And she's like, "Okay, catch it." And he's like,
Mm-hmm.
he's having to like
Yep.
walk around with his
Go ahead.
cane, trying to run up behind her,
Yeah.
which is really cute.
Poor baby.
Yeah.
It's adorable. Like, it's interesting, though, to see that he doesn't heal right away. I think we kind of started talking about this last episode because Claudia, one of the things Lestat reads aloud in her diary is like, every time I make love, will my hymen grow back kind of thing. And in my head, I'm like, well, is it like how long does it take
Yeah.
for your hymen to grow back? Are there certain injuries that heal quicker than others? Is it because he was so completely ruined and it was something that would have killed him if he were a person? Is that what takes the longest to heal? Because we know Claudia does the self-harm with the skylight, like the sun thing that they have. And as she's kind of experiencing that and she's hurting herself, like you kind of have to ask, like how long does it take to heal from that kind of burn, right? From that level of sunburn. So it just an interesting way to kind of like have a conversation about healing without having a conversation, just, I don't know, very interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, the notes I wrote for this part are really silly.
That's fair.
So at some point, like Lestat shows up and like he has like a fancy car.
Yeah.
And he like hops out of the car and like just another note on costuming in the show. I know I've already talked about this and like we've already had a little baby conversation about it, but the fucking costuming. If men looked like this now, okay? If dudes wore slightly high-waisted pants with a skinny belt that were kind of like pleated and stuff in the front and a little bit closer fitting at the heel, right? At the ankle, and had like a fucking beautiful knit polo shirt, right? Like a little knit button down short sleeve shirt. Like the man looks immaculate. Like he hops out of this fucking car, y'all, and he is just dripping with je ne sais quoi. Yeah. Like he is just on fire. And you look at him and he has like his little lazy, arrogant smile. And you're just like, I will take all of my clothes off for you right now. I don't even care that you dropped me from 17 feet above the ground, 17 stories above the ground. Yeah. I don't care. You dropped me from an Empire State Building worth amount of height. And somehow my underwear in your hand.
Yeah, I don't know how it is
very. It's very complicated. It's deeply complicated. He's like, so I wrote down Lestat is so embarrassing. Oh my god, because he pulls up in the car and it's just like, hey. And you're like, you can't just pull up in a car and go, hey, after you almost murdered somebody. Like that's not the move. Okay, that's not the look. It's not good. You're not kidding anyone. And somehow he completely pulls it off. He's like leaning against this like Rolls Royce. Like,
I think he like buys them a car again too. Like the same one.
Yes. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. Like he's just like leaning on it like everything's cool. And he looks fucking gorgeous. And Louis is like, and Claudia's looking at him like, no, stop.
Okay, I just double checked my notes. So that instance was 3 years after the first time he shows up, and the very first time he shows up, it's like right after.
Yes.
And Claudia, like Louis barely even out of bed yet, and he's like on the door with like flowers.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
And he said to Claudia, he's like, "Do you think Louis will take me back?" And Louis shoves the coffin out the window, and it falls and like into the street. And Claudia's like, "I think you have your answer."
Drama.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect.
Doesn't she tell him like Louis is not here? He's not home.
Yeah.
Like she tries to like get in the way. Like it's if you like gay drama,
Mm-hmm.
if you like any kind of love drama, but especially the gay kind,
Mm-hmm.
this is the show for you.
So good.
This is unmissable if that's the kind of thing you're.
Yeah.
It's so
It's
good.
the best.
It's so good.
You're gonna have to let me know if Make
He's
Our
just sitting
Wishes
there
is
acting
good.
like it was no big deal.
Yeah.
I will. I'll totally tell you. I like Alexandra Daddario,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm excited to see her in it. She looks very witchy in life, so I
Yeah.
feel like it'll be a nice time.
She the one that plays
Yeah,
in Merlin? No.
I don't know.
That girl.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I can't remember what you might know her from. I know her from Why Women Kill.
Okay. The
And a
black
few
haired
other things.
girl that's in Merlin as like Arthur's family friend. Um, I forgot what their actual relationship is, but she looks a lot like,
Morgana.
yeah, yeah. She looks a lot like that girl just
Oh
from
my
the ad.
goodness.
So I thought it was her.
So Rachel, you're opening a very dangerous
Oh
portal
no.
to me talking to you about Arthurian legends and literature. So we're gonna table that.
Our next podcast.
Arthur's close family friend. Can I just say, anyone who's listening to this right now that
Uh-huh.
has read Mists of Avalon is going, "Sweet summer child." Oh,
Is she not a
Arthur's
family
family
friend?
friend, my darling. And no, ma'am.
I thought
No, she
like
is
she
not.
like
No,
was
it's.
adopted by the dad of Arthur or something. Luther Pendragon.
I mean, she is adopted. She is adopted by Uther Pendragon,
Okay.
but not for the reason you think.
Is she like
Like, do you want me to like tell you? Because I feel like
yes?
this might
Okay,
be a
listeners, if
reveal that
you
you're
don't
gonna
want
want to read
spoilers,
yourself.
go like a minute into the future, and I'm assuming this will only take a minute to like give me the spoiler. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so in different versions of this story,
Mm-hmm.
there are different answers for this,
Mm-hmm.
but she is always his sister. Morgan Le Fay is Arthur's sister, and they have a child together.
What?
Correct.
Mm.
Yep.
Mm.
Hmm. So I imagine that's why in that show she's just a family friend, because there's no
Mm-hmm.
nice way to do that on television, says Game of Thrones.
Mm. Have you seen Merlin?
I have not, because I find the guy a little difficult to deal with. I'm gonna try again
The,
because I really
the
love
guy who plays
Arthurian literature, as
Merlin?
you know. Yeah, he's
That's
just not
fair.
like hot, you know. And I'm
Yeah.
fine if someone's not hot, but if someone looks like almost hot, or there's something weird about
Mm-hmm.
them that I can't get around, like for example, the dude who plays Vecna in Stranger Things,
I have
I can't
not
remember
seen
his
anything
name.
past season 2.
Okay, don't worry about it, because this newest season, in my opinion, is a little weird with race stuff.
Yeah. Mm.
They did some weird. They made some bad choices this year.
Oh
Eddie is
no.
amazing, but everybody else is, I don't know. What happens with Lucas and his sister is not cool.
Oh god.
But basically, if you've seen Sweeney Todd, he's also in Sweeney Todd. He's in a bunch of things. If you saw him, you'd be like, oh, there was a show on
Okay.
Stars or Showtime called Camelot, and he played King Arthur,
Yeah.
and Ava Green
I
plays Morgan Le Fay.
okay.
That one's not
I've
bad, but
seen
that
that.
dude, like, yeah, like his face bothers me, and I have a hard time
Mm,
watching it because he's like kind of whiny too, and I'm just like, I'm not vibing with this
that's
guy.
fair.
I'm gonna try again because I love Ava Green. Like, I would marry her on the spot. If you've not seen Penny Dreadful, I highly suggest you watch that as well. Um, Penny Dreadful is like a show that's like about like 1800s pulp, like Grand
Mm.
Guignol kind of thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
when we were talking about Armand and the Theater of the Vampires, it's set in that time period,
Okay.
and
Okay.
it's pretty good.
Is
It's like a
she
monster fighter thing.
is that the same actress though, or no?
No, mm-mm. No, different
Okay.
lady. But I,
I just
I
was
I can
going off
understand
of
why
that from
you
the
think.
ad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that show is actually old at this point. That show is like, I think, 15 years old. That Merlin show.
Oh, you're right.
Um.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So this girl's too young, but mhm,
Yeah, I did
yeah.
totally see her as like an adult in something recently, and I kind of forgot about that
Mhm. Yeah.
because it was like on TikTok, so I saw it for a second that someone showed part of the episode or whatever. And I forget that like people no longer look like what they looked like in a TV show when that moment was captured, you know?
Mhm.
Forget that aging's a thing sometimes. But yeah, I really want to see Mayfair Witches, so I'm just gonna have to sign up for another free trial.
Hell yes.
Yeah. As long as you say it's good. So, um, okay. Now we are in so after the 3 years, that's when that scene with trying to buy him a car goes on. Then we're in 1937. Lestat writes a song for Louis. Louis's
I
listening to this
immediately smelled
song.
a rat. Immediately smelled a
Yeah.
rat.
Yep. So he's listening to this song and he goes, "Those female vocals, those sound pretty familiar. Oh
Yeah.
my god, that's his mistress, and he didn't kill her, even though he's like basically said he broke it off or that he killed her before this."
Mhm.
So,
No, he brings a finger because Claudia and Louis are like,
mhm,
maybe we'll give you a shot, maybe. And I think like he tells Louis like, no, he doesn't say that he killed her. He says that she's long gone. Oh, she moved off. I think he
mhm,
kind of acts like she has a career elsewhere, like she left town kind of
mhm.
thing until he hears this fucking record. And I'm like, why would you be so stupid? Like this is just the note I wrote about this. I absolutely love
So,
this Lestat, and this episode has brought
yeah.
me in fully to his
Mhm.
horribleness.
So the missing the finger part doesn't come up till later in this episode.
Mm. Hmm.
So this is before he's like,
I'm
"Oh,
so
it was a
sorry. I'm jumping
one-time
all over the
thing."
place.
You're fine. I had to
Yes.
double check my notes too to make sure. But so first off what happens is basically Louis busts into their house that they share together
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
he's like, "I heard you put her voice on the song you wrote for me. Like, obviously you don't care because you have your
Hmm.
mistress's voice." And Louis,
Hmm.
Lestat's like, "Where was I supposed to go?" And then they're like, "Antoinette, can you get out of the house, please?" And she's like,
Yo, kicks her out of her own house. Kicks her out of her own house. She goes, I live here. She's wearing no clothes, y'all. She is
"Yeah,
butt booty naked. And she's
mm-hmm,
standing in her own house. And they're like,
mm-hmm,
can you go? Louis like, you need to fucking leave. And she goes, I'm not going anywhere. Fuck you. And Lestat's like, I think he told you to leave. You should fucking leave. And she's like, what? And he goes, like they both turn to her like slow mo,
yeah,
like do not make us say this again. Get the fuck out of here. And she's like, "Ooh," and she like runs out of the house dramatically. It's
mm-hmm."
wonderful. It's excellent.
And then
And
she
then
goes and
they
like
fuck in
smokes on
her
the
bed.
porch. Yes, they
She
do.
could like she could hear them fucking in her bed, and she's outside like chain smoking cigarettes, all mad and pissed off, crying. And I'm like, this show just does whatever it wants. This show
Yeah,
does
it's so
whatever it wants.
perfect. So perfect.
Yeah, it's exceptional. It's exceptional.
So good. And then basically what gets brought up, we find out Claudia turned 33. Lestat
Hmm.
said so basically Louis and Lestat have this whole come to Jesus meeting. They're like, we need to lay
Yep.
everything out on the table. So Louis
Yep.
like,
No
it's
more
always
secrets.
bothered me. Yeah. He's like, it's always
Hmm.
bothered me. Did you have anything to do with Paul's death? And Lestat's like, who, me? No,
I
never.
would
I
never
would
cross that
never.
boundary.
Mm-hmm.
Me?
Whomst?
Claudia's like, can you
No.
fly? Can you fly? He's
Yeah.
like, what do you think? Everyone's like, I mean, we saw you fly, motherfucker, so we think you can fly. You can
Mm-hmm.
fly, right? And he's like, shrug. I'm like, I thought we weren't doing secrets, bruh. What is this? This is some charlatan
Yeah.
ass nonsense, is what it is. Why are we pretending that we don't know what the fucking deal is? What is going on right now? What is this about?
Mm-hmm. So then Lestat also gives us a little bit of his backstory. So we find out that his
Yes.
maker was Magnus, and then he put him in a
Yes.
room with corpses that looked identical to him.
Yes. So in a previous episode of this, I was saying Marius's painting, like Louis has Marius's painting. So I
Hmm.
got them confused. Marius is a
Okay.
vampire that Lestat knows. Magnus is
Mm.
Lestat's sire. So
Okay.
Marius is a painter. There's a whole part about Marius that comes later. It's still an Easter egg. It's just not for the reasons that I said in the previous episode. I wrote that down.
It
I was like,
happens.
Magnus, like I always get them inverted. Marius made Armand,
Yeah.
and
Oh, okay.
Magnus made Lestat. Yeah.
Too
Um,
many M names.
I really enjoyed this part. I feel like this is where they really got me between that like epic gay
Mhm.
battle, and and this kind of revelation about Lestat's past. A lot of what
Mhm.
Lestat is detailing, all of that's true, right? Like how he was religious, he was an
Mhm.
innocent, right? All of that you find out in like the Vampire Lestat. So like all of this is actual lore from the other books, which I very much appreciated
Mhm.
because you don't really get that in Interview with the Vampire, right? There's no scene like this in Interview with the Vampire. Lestat
Yeah.
always kind of just is tight-lipped and doesn't say anything, right? Until
Mhm.
he gets his stage in the next book. But that's something that I
Mhm.
really enjoyed. I think that was the moment that I was like, okay, you got me. You got me. All right, I'm along for the ride. I'll watch everything you put out. Here we go. Because
Yep.
like having this moment where he tells him like, yeah, like I was religious. I wasn't lying that night. Like I
Mhm.
did feel away and I'm in this room and like all of these corpses look like me. They're all a type and for some reason I was allowed to live.
Yeah.
Um in
Wild.
Queen of the Damned in the movie,
Mhm.
there's a different kind of retelling here. There's like a crossing of streams, so to speak.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure they have Marius create Lestat in Queen of the Damned.
Okay.
So there's a lot of fudging of the truth in this other movie, but
Mhm.
it's not designed to be taken seriously, so you'll be all right when you watch it.
It's fine. Yeah, we'll have a great time. It'll be
Hmm.
a lovely Patreon episode.
I'm telling you right now, you're really gonna like. It's bad, but in the best way.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Amazing. I'm excited. So they're starting to get figured out in New Orleans. People are like dropping voodoo dolls and salt circles and stuff on their porch. They're not sure what to do or what they're about, but they're trying to do something in whatever way they can. So while all that's happening, they have their secondary come to Jesus meeting where they're like, okay, if we're going to make this relationship work and we're going to act like a family again, Louis, you have to hunt humans. And Claudia's like, okay, then if he has to hunt humans with us, then you have to kill your mistress. So that's where the finger thing comes in.
Hmm.
Um, so,
Which was never enough. I saw the finger and I was
mhm,
like, I need a whole ass corpse, bro. You need to like bring her
mhm,
here so I
yep,
can look at her dead body and make sure she's dead. Better yet, bring her to me and
mhm,
I will drink her. Right? Like,
mhm,
I need an
yep.
update. You know?
And then Claudia, during this whole discussion before the finger gets brought up, she starts asking Lestat like deeply personal questions, and he's getting very stressed out. Um, and then while that happens, while he presents the finger, we find out that Antoinette is still alive. They don't let the viewers be, you know, like drug along onto this journey. They're like, yeah, she's still alive. Hope that doesn't come up later. Which I think I kind
Listen,
of love that.
lots and
So
lots of
good.
feelings about that.
Yeah. So Lestat has her like stashed away and they're staying in like a weird motel. And Lestat keeps being like, I'm just going out for a bike. I'm going out for a walk. And he's going to go see his mistress.
Hmm.
And then this is the scene in
Claudia
which,
was never fooled, though, if we're going to be honest. Claudia
no,
was
no
like,
way.
Louis was like,
Yeah.
he left her. She's dead. Claudia's like, sweet summer child.
Mm-mm. Yeah. She's like, Dad,
My
listen.
darling. My darling.
Mm-hmm. So good. So then, um, while Louis and Lestat have sex, Louis and Claudia are having this whole telepathic conversation, and Claudia's like la
Hmm.
la writing in her notebook, and then like
Yep.
inverted, you can see Louis and Lestat just going at it.
Hard.
And Claudia's like, listen, I'm going to Europe. I want you to come with me. And Louis
Hmm.
like, no, I cannot join you. My life is here, but you have a great
Yep.
time. Go see the world, my child.
what I love too is like, again, this show has done a really great job of like making sure that the original text is still represented.
Mhm.
Claudia calls him calls Lestat the father of lies, which is consistent both
Mhm.
in the book and in the original movie. That is absolutely
Mhm.
something that comes out of her mouth. She's like, he's the father of lies. You can't trust him, right? Like this is a warning that Claudia issues to Louis, in a different context, obviously in the book, since we're kind of doing something a little bit different here,
Mhm.
contextually, like with the plot, but like it still stands, right? Like the vibe still
Yeah.
stands. And like there's a lot of drama. Like Claudia and Lestat hate each other. Like it's really obvious that she kind of hates him and that he hates her back, and that they're only kind of holding on and hanging in there for Louis, like to keep him happy. Like you said, like she knows he's cheating. She knows that he has a mistress, right? Like
Yeah.
like she knows this. Like they both are like she's like trying to tell him that Lestat is doing everything he can to just like warn Louis away from like this other distraction and trying to go hard on like it's okay, like we're close, we're a family again, that's all
Mhm.
you want, right? And like Louis totally allows himself to just be blindsided by that. But like
Yeah.
Claudia does this thing where she like puts Lestat through his paces. Like she's smarter now, she's sharper now, and she does not shy
Mhm.
away from asking the tough questions. Like he'll come home and she'll have like 15 questions for him. Like, where were you? Who are you with? Why are you coming home at this time? What's that on your boots? You smell like smoke. Where were you that had smoke?
Mhm.
And he's like, why are you peppering me with all these endless fucking questions? And she's like, just answer them. And it gets real tense all the time. So
Yeah.
when Claudia's finally like, I'm gonna go, I'm like, Jesus Christ, thank God. Because y'all are like you can cut this tension with a fucking toothpick. It is so soft. Like it's just
Mhm.
ah, you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
like it's nothing but tension. It's peanut butter tension where everything is tense and you just get used to it because it feels so warm and cozy. That's the kind of
Mhm.
tension.
Yeah. It's
I like the
ugh.
scene with her on the train as well though. Like when
Mhm.
she gets on, when she finally is like, "Listen, I'm gonna go," and Louis is like, "Don't leave, don't go." And like night after night, they like sit on the park bench and talk, and they
Yeah.
pretend that they're normal, and everyone is like, "You're not normal. We see you." And they're
Yeah,
like, "No, no,
literally.
totally normal." And like they agree that they have to like hunt for real because Lestat
Mhm.
is like, "Oh, it makes me feel judged when you
Yeah.
like don't drink blood." And Claudia's like, ugh, I have to agree with him. I do feel judged when you don't drink blood. And Louis is like, fine, I'll drink people again. God, I hate you guys. And like when all of that is happening and Claudia finally leaves, like there's like this sense of like, yes, a childlike wonder, but also like this beautiful freedom. Like this, I'm gonna miss this
Mhm.
actor so much. She really grew on me quickly.
I know.
Um,
I'm
like she's
so
perfect.
sad.
And like
Yeah.
I'm so sad. Like I want to write her a personal email and be like, "Hi, please don't do this to us. We're a little family."
Please.
Um
Yeah, come back.
like I really like the attention to detail too with this show. Like I know that previously I said that I had some kind of hardships with the way they were kind of presenting race, but you see like the camera angle kind of like pulls through this train and you see a bunch of white people on the train and then you get to the steerage car where you have all the
Mhm.
bags and stuff and Claudia's back there and Louis' VO, his voiceover basically is like, for black passengers back then, there was always a black only car that was like in disrepair, was terrible. But for a black vampire, you have to ride in the steerage, like you have to ride in the back. And
Mhm.
luckily for her, that was enough.
Yeah.
Because that was absolutely the case, right? Like back in the day, that's exactly how black people had to travel, right? If there was an all white train and there were no passenger cars for black people, they would have to ride with the baggage, like with the luggage. Like that used to happen all the time.
Mhm.
So I like that they were historically accurate with that because at first I was like, don't show me this girl traveling on a regular fucking train, please. And then
Yeah.
they didn't. They showed that like she's in the back and she like is narrowly missed by the porter. I did find it interesting though that the porter was white, but it was
Mhm.
also a fancy train, so that's probably why the
Yeah.
porter was white.
It's one of those
Hmm.
bougie rich people trains.
Yeah, she's like so happy with her little book.
Yeah. Right before we cut to seeing her on the train, it shows Louis and Lestat watching TV, and it's like Germany's invading Poland, and Louis like, "Oh my god, Claudia's on that train," and you see like Lestat watching the TV, watching Louis watching the TV, and I'm like, "Oh
Hmm.
no, oh no."
Oh, so I think it's
So,
actually a radio and not a TV, just because of the time
oh,
period. I think they're listening to
you
the
might be
radio.
right. You might be right.
Yeah, because I
I don't
think
remember.
TVs are a little bit later. But you're right though,
Yeah.
it does look like a TV because it's big. It's like one of those big old fashioned radios with like the knobs and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, Stat turns up, finds Claudia in the baggage, grabs her, and he's like, "You are not abandoning Louis. We are both here
Yep.
for Louis."
Yep.
Ugh.
Like basically threatens her life. Like,
Mhm.
I'm not going to be nice the next time you try to leave. You already left once without my
Yeah.
permission. Do not do it again. Like, fucking, like, just is awful. And, like, you can tell she's afraid of him. Like, you see the look on her face.
Mhm.
Like, she's terrified. And, like, the threat that he lays down, like, he literally threatens her life. Like, she's terrified. And at the start of the
Mhm.
episode, like when he's apologizing, when he like brings the car or whatever, he's like, Louis, keeping yourself from me is cruel. You've never been cruel, Louis. You've never been a cruel
Mhm.
person. That's what he says to Louis to like manipulate him.
Mhm.
But like this
Yeah.
shit is totally cruel. Like what he's doing to
Yeah.
Claudia, the things that he says to Claudia, like he's cruel as fuck. And he knows it, right? He knows it. Like there's no emotion on his face when he delivers these lines. Like he knows that this is fucked up. He's just like, this is who I am. I
Yeah.
don't care. Um,
Yep.
and like it's just fucked up. You just realize it takes one to know one, right? He's like, Louis, you're being cruel, but also I'm cruel. But Louis, don't hurt
Mhm.
me. Like, just
Mhm.
bullshit, man. Fucked up.
Yeah.
And like, Louis comes into the parlor, like next scene, right? Like scene change, comes into the parlor and sees Claudia. He's like, wait, I thought you said Claudia left. And she's like right there. And Lestat's like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
well, I mean, she said that it was, she was afraid to travel because of the war, right, Claudia?
Mhm.
You were afraid to travel because of the fucking war. And she's
Mhm.
sitting there staring straight ahead, empty eyes. Yep, I was afraid. It was scary. I came back. Like you can tell some
Mhm.
shit's not right, and Louis like trying to talk to her like telepathically, and she's like not responding. Like it's fucked up. It's fucked up. Like it's
Mhm.
clear that he got to her.
I also have to mention when he picks her up from the train, he kills the
Mm-hmm.
porter, I think, and another
Yes.
passenger. And while he's talking to her, has a small dog licking the blood off of his fingers the entire time
Mm-hmm.
he's talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh
Maximum
my
villain
god.
era. Maximum.
Yeah.
He like rolls the head of the porter toward her. That's how she finds out the porter's dead. It comes
Yeah.
like bouncing into view, and she's like trying to read her book in the back. Fucked up, man. He's wild. He's wild.
Ugh.
In my head, I'm like, how does this end? What are we
Yeah.
doing next season? What are we doing? Is Lestat coming back? Are we going to have more of him? How are we
I
going to
don't
deal with
know.
this? Because I'm having a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
I'm stressed.
So then like Claudia finally like shakes out of her daze
Mm-hmm.
and starts to like talk to Louis in his mind again about killing
Mm-hmm.
Lestat. She's like, he's got to go. He's got to
Yep.
go. This dude
Mm-hmm.
is way too awful. We need to cut him. Like, it's done.
Yeah. While she's playing chess with Lestat, she's talking to Louis the whole time, and she's like,
Mm-hmm.
he thinks we're his slaves, Louis.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, yeah,
And
I
we
mean,
talked
pretty
and we
much.
talked about that last time. Yeah, we talked about that last
Mm-hmm.
time and look a little bit of how like
Mm-hmm.
they have autonomy and Lestat is like anti-slavery and he's like he's all about equality and all that stuff like with race. But in his
Mm-hmm.
life, he wants
Mm-hmm.
people to be indebted to him. He feels like
Mm-hmm.
I've done you this favor, you owe me something, right? Everything is transactional with
Yeah.
him. Like he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't just do things to be nice. He doesn't just do things because it's the right thing to do. Like that's not who he is as a person, nor does he pretend to be. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I love the scene where she beats him at chess because he's shit talking her the entire time. Like he knows that they're
Yeah.
talking mentally, and he's like, I fucking know it. I know it. I can sense it. I know it. I know. I know that you guys are fucking talking.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that he says to her on the train, he brings up Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks about like you know how cruel vampires can be. You know how awful we
Yeah.
can be. You have no idea how awful I can be. Like he gets like nasty with her and brings up her
Mm-hmm.
assault. And like so now she's like on a tear. Now she's like there will be no talking to me until he is dead, right? Like I need him fucking
Yep.
dead yesterday. And Louis is like, "But
Yep.
how?" And she's like, "Fall in love with him. Fall in love with him. You don't have to do anything. I'll do the whole thing. You need to fall in love with him. You need to have stars in your eyes. I know that you're going to anyway." Because Louis is like, "What if I'm not strong enough? Like I'm not going to be strong enough to do this with you." And she's like, "Don't love him.
Mm-hmm.
Love him. Be with him.
Whatever.
Like, do
Yeah.
whatever it is you need to do it, right? Because that's going to distract him, and that's what I need. I need him distracted. And then, like,
Mhm.
as they kind of like do a mental handshake on this deal, she finally beats him in chess, and he never, like, Lestat never sees it coming. He's like
Yeah.
making fun of her as she's like putting him in check. And then
Mhm.
he's like, "You can't win." And she goes, "Checkmate." And he's like, "What?" And so he looks down, and sure as shit, like, he's teasing her the entire time. "Oh, yeah, you're using your pawns. That's embarrassing." It's all metaphor
Mhm.
for the plan she's coming up with telepathically
Mhm.
with Louis, right? "Oh, you're going to sacrifice your pawn. You're going to sacrifice your king to save your queen." And it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, we sure are going to
Hell
sacrifice
yeah.
our king to save our queen. Yes, we are, right?
Mhm.
Like, that's exactly what's happening right now.
Ugh.
And then we find out Lestat is a sore loser, which checks out
Mhm.
because he is a
So
sore
good.
loser in the book as well.
Yeah.
It's really good. Like, they crafted a really amazing story. If you are not hooked by episode 6, the show just isn't for you. That's what I will say.
Yeah. That's fair.
Hmm.
It's so good. I could not imagine not being hooked, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
So after Claudia wins, we get flashed back to the present. Daniel is fully asleep, but he did have his treatment today. So
Hmm.
Louis like looking at him and he goes, "Let's let him sleep." And we get brought into
I love the
Daniel's
doctor is
memory
like,
dream.
"I am not here." He's like, "Aren't you
Mhm.
the most like world-renowned phlebotomist?" "No, I am not here." "Yes, but I could have sworn." "Let me pull it up for you." Pulls it up in his computer. "That's you, right?" "Totally him."
Yeah.
"No, I've never seen this person. I'm not here."
So funny.
"Yes, what are you saying to me, Louis?" "Yes, I am not here." Louis like, "You're not here. I've never seen you before in my life." And Daniel's like, "Why is everyone crazy?" And I'm like, "Daniel, read the room, bruh. He's not
Yeah.
here, okay?
He is not
He's not.
here.
Stop talking to him
Never
like
been
he's here.
here.
He's not here. Leave it alone."
Never been here. He's never met
The
you
whole time
before.
I'm like, what's in that drip bag though? Are they Louis' platelets?
Literally.
What's going on? Is it his plasma? What's
Could
happening
be.
right now? I need
Could
to
be.
know. Can someone give me information? I have questions. And they're like, "No,
Mhm.
you can watch the next episode if you want answers." And I'm like, "You're
So
not going to
good.
give me answers next episode, are you?" No.
No.
No, we're not. Come back for season 2 in 6 to 10 months.
Literally.
Yeah, that flashback though, the flashback while Daniel
Yeah.
is asleep, Rachel.
Yeah. So it
Rachel.
shows them
Rachel.
at the bar when they meet.
Oh my god. And it's
Mhm.
adorable because Louis has like a little baby 70s like cropped fro, and it's precious
Mhm.
and adorable. It's like the same haircut
So
everybody had in
cute.
1976. It's really cute. And he's wearing like a little
Mhm.
terry cloth, like, again, costumes. Like, the costumes are perfect. He's wearing this little like terry cloth like polo shirt like people were wearing back then, and like little bell bottoms.
Mhm.
He looks adorable, and it's disgusting. And then you see the person they got to play baby Daniel is also very cute. Like, you can totally see how he grows
Mhm.
up to be like old
Yeah.
man Daniel. Hmm.
Yeah. It's very well done. And then like Rashid's in there for a second,
Yo,
and
for
I'm
no
like,
reason.
is
He's like,
yeah.
I love it because it's one of those moments, like, again, like, I mean, just such realism. Like, there's a
Mhm.
lot of times I've had the same dream over and over again, and then one day it's slightly different, right? You wake up and there's like one more thing you remember from your dream, and
Mhm.
it's like that. Like, you get the scene and you see Louis and you see Daniel and they're talking, right? And he's chatting,
Mhm.
and like you get the sense that he's dreamed this before, right? That this isn't necessarily new. But then
Mhm.
the camera pans, and that's how you know it's like a new part of the dream, because the camera is like on just the two of them. They're talking. I think you get like 5 seconds of this in like the first episode where you see them talking in 76. um
Mhm.
and then you see that same scene, more talking between the two of them, right? It's not just a flash like it
Mhm.
is when you see it the first time. And then the camera just pans over ever so slightly, and fucking Rashid is there, and you're like, hold on,
Yeah. Wait a minute.
hold on, wait a minute. And then it goes end credits. It's
Mhm.
just like, no, not resolved
Yeah.
today. And then you go, well,
Yeah.
obviously I'm just going to watch the rest of the show now. Jesus, I had somewhere to
Mhm.
be an hour ago, but oh well, I guess just
Never
gonna keep
mind.
watching it. Yeah.
This I was trying to figure out because for some reason I thought that Rashid might be the tie-in to Mayfair Witches. I thought maybe he's a witch because I don't know anything about Mayfair Witches. I'm like maybe that's how we get to bring these universes together. I am wrong, which we will be talking about in one moment as we discuss episode 7 because we actually have time. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't think we were. So Yeah, now we are on episode 7. So two people in one night have realized and come to their house. So now they're like, okay, we need to go. Like people are trying to basically turn them into like their own cult or like their own religion. So people are like, I need your immortal life. And Louis like, who the fuck are you? What are you doing at my house?
Yeah, they have these like fetishes and like gree like voodoo like
Hmm.
statuaries and stuff that are put on their doorstep all the time. I think we see that a little bit in
Hmm.
the previous episode because people are starting
Yeah.
to realize I've lived here my whole life. You
Hmm.
still look the exact same.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like bad plan on their part because at this point, like Claudia's like in her 50s,
Yeah,
probably. Or like in her 40s at
yeah,
least. And
yeah.
uh yeah, no. They're like she still looks 15.
Hmm.
So that's not good.
No,
So like while this is going
no, and like
on,
they.
oh sorry.
Hmm. No, I was just gonna say there's another line that comes I think in the first 15 minutes of locked together in hatred.
Mhm.
That's another line from the book and the movie that they put in the show. And like I just love these little touch points that they have, these tent poles to
Mhm.
check in with people who are like, but the book was better. It's
Yeah.
almost like they're speaking directly to me. And I
I
love that.
know. I love it. I love it so much because it's really just like it plays like homage to the book, but it's not
Hmm.
directly ripped from the book. But I don't feel like
Yeah.
it's discrediting the book at all. You know what I mean?
At
Like some
all.
of these
Yeah.
adaptations that they like revise, I feel like they just like ripped it and part and threw in the garbage. And like
Hmm.
I think they did a really good job of being like, okay, we love this book. It is our sweet baby child, but we don't want
Yeah.
to give you the exact same thing we gave you before. Enjoy.
Right.
So Claudia's like hatching this whole plan to kill Lestat. Um, and like while they're doing this, they're at the theater. Like while they're kind of talking, they're still having like this family bonding moment. So they go to the theater and they're like talking and pissing everybody off the whole time. And it's really cute.
Hmm.
It's really adorable. And so basically, Claudia and Louis come up with this idea that they're gonna have this giant, or Claudia, Louis, and the stat are like, you know what we're gonna do before we leave New Orleans? Let's have a giant Mardi Gras party.
Yep.
And so they have to change the day of Mardi Gras, which is planned like 5 years in advance to make it so they can leave right now. And it's so funny.
Yep. It's ridiculous. Like I
Yeah.
love a good like rushing montage.
Hmm.
I don't know why it makes me so happy, but I am deeply affected by scenes where people are like, "We have to get everything together." Like, I feel like it's because I
Hmm.
watched Cinderella as a child, and there's a big like rushing, getting ready for party
Yeah.
montage in that. But I am here for it, and that's essentially what you see. The
Yeah.
thing that I think is so sad though is like as Lestat is just ramping up, like he asks if he can be, because you know during Mardi Gras there's a king cake and all that stuff. So being
Hmm.
the I can't remember the word, but it's basically like the MC or like the grand poobah basically of
Hmm.
the street festival. Like you're like the crowning jewel of the event.
Yeah.
And as Lestat is trying to kind of get all of that going, it becomes so obvious how they're his servants. Maybe not his slaves,
Mhm.
because obviously they live in this finery and whatever. And I feel like that's also kind of a spicy comparison to make because we have black people dealing with this. But he like they're he treats them like they're servants, like he treats
Yeah.
them like they're accessories in his madcap scheme to be, the king of New Orleans or whatever. And
Hmm.
it's weird because like Louis, you can tell Louis just like can't fight against the tide anymore. He's like fully bought in,
Man.
and like
Yep.
their chemistry is just fucking like. I mean, I've
Through
never
the
I've
roof.
never seen such chemistry. I'm pretty sure both dude has like a lady that they're with, but like you could have fooled me because there is some passion
Hmm.
between these two men. There's like an
Hmm.
electricity between them. Like I might watch this show again. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm probably gonna watch it.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean,
It's
honestly,
so good.
before season 2 comes out, I'm definitely doing a rewatch.
Yeah. The other day,
It's too
somebody
good
put
not
up a
to.
meme. Someone put up a meme that was like, "This is the kind of bloody gothic obsession the kind of
Mhm.
bloody gay gothic obsession that I'm here for. And it was like 4 screenshots, and one of them was
Mhm.
killing Eve. One of them was oh, what was that? Was Camilla. Um
Mhm.
one of them was damn. Oh, I think it was Byzantium, I think,
Mhm.
which is about vampires, lady vampires that are in love. And then, or no,
Mhm.
Only Lovers Left Alive, which is also about vampires.
Mhm.
Very good movie, very romantic. And then the last one was the interview of the vampire. Was Interview of the Vampire with the two of them, like when like
Yeah.
Louis and Lestat are holding each other and they're all bloody. And I'm like, okay, so people are onto this. Then people have seen this show.
Mhm.
Time for me to start telling people to watch it.
Mhm.
Time.
It's too good to pass up, honestly.
Yeah,
It's
it's
iconic at this
yes.
point. Oh,
So I have no notes because I was so distracted. So we're going to be depending
fair.
heavily on your thing
That's
until
fine.
the culmination of what happens.
Mhm.
Wink, wink.
Mhm.
Until that moment comes, then I have
Yep.
lots of notes.
Excellent. So
Hmm.
they decide to throw this party. The party's wild. Claudia though goes and gets arsenic before this party, and it was like a flashback scene, but we're still kind of at this party. We see Antoinette, and I was like, "Oh God, she's a vampire, 1000%
Hmm.
vampire."
Mm-hmm. Yep. Skulking around in the darkness. How must that make her
Hmm.
feel? Not only are you the other woman,
Literally.
but now you're the other vampire and you gotta go sneak, sneak, sneak
Hmm.
all around. Like, can you
Hmm.
imagine? Like you're a glamorous woman who gets turned into a glamorous vampire, and instead you're sneaking around in alleys. Like,
Hmm.
she's got it bad. She has got it bad with like six
Literally.
D's, y'all. I mean,
Yeah.
wow. Like,
Yep. So then we also get this scene where like Louis dances with Claudia, and then Louis and Lestat start dancing, and they make out in front of everyone, and the crowd's like,
yep. Yep. People start leaving. Yo, y'all, it is a moment where you're watching it and it's really romantic and they're both like dressed up in their like 1700s powdered wig costumes with like the
yeah.
ruffle neck thing, and like they look all like fancy and Marie Antoinette or whatever, and they're dancing
Mhm.
together, and like they come up with this scheme to basically pin a badge on anyone that they think they want to like turn, not turn, but
Mhm.
like anyone they want to feed off of later in
Eat.
the night, like people
Yeah.
that they know will either A, not be missed, or B, can serve their greater purpose to leave unscathed without
Mhm.
raising any alarms. And like Claudia is like pinning someone, and kind of that's like how you see them kind of go out on the dance floor, because Lestat is like, it's our last night in town, and Louis like, let's go out with a bang. And so they like have this like super boy on boy like dance, and like the camera
Ugh.
spins around them, like it's very poetic and beautiful and
Mhm.
so gay. I
So
gasped
good.
audibly aloud.
Yeah.
I literally was like
You and the audience.
it'll
Okay.
definitely, yeah, it bring a handkerchief to fan yourself with.
Mhm.
It's a smart idea, and dab your brow, because boy howdy,
Mhm.
no
Mhm.
complaints,
It's
no
beautiful.
notes.
I love
No
I
notes.
forgot there was a group of people until everyone gasped. They forgot there was a group of people till
Yes.
everyone gasped. It was great.
They were like, "Oh snap. Yeah, well, we're making out now, so I guess this is what we're
Yep.
doing." People were like, "We're leaving. We've been
Yeah.
scandalized." And I'm like, "You live in New Orleans in the early 1900s. Surely it takes more than this to
Yeah.
scandalize you."
Literally. You're fine. Everyone's fine.
Yes.
So, then they're like, "Okay, so you want to know how we got immortality?" They bring everybody to like a separate room later, and they're like, "Yeah," and like Louis or Lestat's being all dramatic about like, "Oh, you know, I was born in this year, then I became a vampire in this year," and they're like naming how old they are and everything,
I love that they say
and
immortal because they don't want to spook the horses. So he doesn't say like,
yeah,
"Oh, I became a vampire." He's like, I became immortal in this year. I drank from the fountain of youth." Like they give them
mm-hmm,
like the fucking, they give them like this big fucking, like this, their big reveal is like this ancient rumor, the fountain of youth, and everybody's
mm-hmm.
buying it except for that one
Oh yeah,
shithead, the governor that like runs the state. That guy has been fooled so many times in this season. I don't feel bad for him because he's
yeah,
allowed himself to be tricked. But
mm-hmm,
like every single, like he is just the biggest. He carries this X on his face from the last time that they met, he has like a scar on his cheek from like the time
Yeah.
that he just like shook Louis down and like fucked them over. Like it's just, I don't know, it's just so good. The comeuppance,
So good.
chef's kiss. Yeah.
Truly. So then they start killing everybody. Okay.
Yeah, because he spoils
Um
it. That's right. He's like, he like lifts the lid before they're ready because they have this whole
mhm.
speech, and the governor's like, "There ain't nothing in here at all." And
Yeah.
Lestat's like, "Not for long," and then it's done.
Yeah.
Oh, it's done.
Jumps over the
Um,
table.
Word of warning: if you are someone who is faint of heart, if you are not a horror whore or a gore hound or whatever you want to call it,
Mhm.
this is going to be a little rough for you. This show is not good at reminding you that you're watching something that is a horror genre
Yeah.
event. It's very beautiful the whole time, and the
Mhm.
men are really beautiful, and the women are beautiful, and everybody in between is beautiful, and you're like looking at these people, and it's, you get lulled into this sweet false sense of confidence that everything's going to be all right, and then it's really hot and sexy, and you're not wrong. It is hot and sexy, all right, dear
Mhm.
listener, it is very sexy. But then you get the moment where like Lestat and Louis have their domestic violence, like where Lestat assaults Louis, right? And it gets
Yeah.
scary, but it's scary in like a more visceral way because obviously domestic violence hits different. But when you get to
Mhm.
episode 7 and they start killing these people,
Yeah.
recognize you are going to be watching a horror movie. Hard R,
Mhm.
if not NC-17 horror. Like there is some
Mhm.
next level gore. I was very pleased because I'm a creep and I like that. But if you do not like that, you're going to want to cover your eyes because it gets
See,
very
this is the
visceral and
kind of
bloody.
horror I like. This is what
Yeah,
I
same.
like. I don't like
Mm-hmm.
jump scare horror. It's not my
No,
thing.
agree.
Like I don't like being
Agree.
scared.
Yeah.
This is
I
what I
mean, I
like.
like I like the vibe of fear. Like I don't like a
Mhm.
jump scare where like every 5 minutes it's like turn, turn, like that's boring. But I do like cultivating an ambiance that
Mhm.
feels like you're going to get a jump scare and then you don't, and then it's just scary and you're changed forever. I feel like
Mhm.
this almost bypasses those rules entirely because it goes from really beautiful to telling this really amazing fountain of youth fable to why is
Mhm.
this fucking governor being a piece of shit again to someone's eyeball on the floor.
Mhm.
Literally, you're watching it. Suddenly, there's just like an eyeball and a tongue ripped out on the floor. And there's like buckets and buckets and buckets of blood everywhere. Like, it is
Mhm.
brutal. Like, people's throats are getting torn off. People's face, somebody's whole face, I think, gets ripped off. Right? Like,
Mhm.
they like pull from under that guy's chin
I
and they
think
like rip his
so.
face off. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's
It's bloody
wild.
disgusting in the best way. Yeah, it's good.
Mhm. So good. So, they offered the dying twin to Lestat, and he opens the door. Antoinette strolls in, and he's like, "You tried to kill me. I know what's up with this guy."
Yeah. Because
And
she's been fucking
oh,
looking around all night. She's been, and that's why I think it's really, I wrote down perfect reversal, right? I love this scene because you have Antoinette, who's like this new character that you get. So Lestat has a warning that it's this other twin, and you see the twin kind of
mhm,
dwindling. You know that Claudia has done something to fuck him up, right? You see him all woozy and getting all crazy and
mhm,
stuff, and you're like, okay, I know this. Especially if you're somebody who read the book, I feel like this is the perfect nod for you because you're watching it and you're like,
mhm.
I know what's gonna come next, right? It's beautifully done. um I don't want to say the reveal. You say the reveal.
So then Lestat tries making Claudia drink dead man's blood, and Claudia's like, "You know what? I knew I was being followed since the train. I knew this whole time. That's why I poisoned the mayor because I knew you'd go after him
Yep.
first." And I was like, "Yes,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
Claudia,
Yep.
hell yeah."
She uses the ultimate weapon, which is Lestat's own vanity. It's
Mhm,
the same shit that she does when she beats him in chess. She
mhm,
uses his vanity. She lets him talk. She lets him be this blowhard,
mhm,
right? She lets him go in on how brilliant he is and how he's so
mhm,
wonderful. And aha, I have caught you in my trap. And then she destroys him.
mhm,
And he doesn't even see that as foreshadowing for this very moment. And like when you see the look cross his face and you see Antoinette realize she's probably getting eaten in about 5 seconds,
mhm.
or ripped to shreds, right? When you get that moment, like
Beautiful.
it's almost as if like my entire apartment was silent because there's a pause, right?
Yeah,
When Lestat is like, wait.
yeah,
There's like a moment of silence where there's like a bit of music and that's it. And like you could hear a pin drop in here. I was just like,
yeah. I know. Me and my sibling looked
he
at each
couldn't
other,
resist.
and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh my god!" Like,
Yep. He could not resist. And she knew he wouldn't be able to resist. She was like, I knew the second you saw him, you'd pin him and you'd be all about it. Like,
So
oh my
good.
God. Oh,
So
so good.
good.
And like, so you see Louis, and like Louis is not in on this at all, right? Like what Antoinette overheard,
Mhm.
which like I love the setup that like other vampires can hear each other.
Mhm.
It serves everyone really well in the scene. But like I love that like you see Louis's face. And again, like I think his name is Jacob Anderson, I
Yeah.
think is the name of the actor.
Yes.
Um he's like the regret is palpable. Like
Mhm.
you see it cross his face. Like he goes to Lestat, he picks him up. He's like looking at him as he's like dying and bleeding out and just is like choking on all this like dead blood. And like it's so sad. Like every movement he makes is an obvious struggle.
Mhm.
Like you can see his hands are moving more slowly. Like Lestat makes it impossible to let go of him, right? Telling him sweet nothings until his dying fucking breath, right? Telling him it's okay, I love you, you're too good for me, right?
Mhm.
Says all the right shit on his way out. And I'm just like, guys, can you stop with Lestat, please, for 5 minutes? Relentless. Can any of us get some sleep,
Literally.
please? Because the man doesn't stop, okay? He doesn't stop. And what's so good is they set all of this up, like seeing the unraveling of this scene where they go to the governor in the previous episode and they have like this one-off conversation, or earlier in this episode where they're talking about his business, right?
Mhm.
And they're like, yeah, well, what about, a little boating business, side hustle where you have a boat, a liner
Mhm.
going back and forth to Europe since, the war is on. They're going to need a lot of coffins.
Mhm.
And he's like, yeah, you're right. And then he steals the idea from them because, of course, that's what he fucking does, right? Steals the idea from them, doesn't pay them for the boat, but now they do have a boat
Mhm.
because the governor stole the idea and the boat already has coffins on it.
So
Like, just
good.
the neatest little bow, just the neatest little bow
Mhm.
tied up. Just like, I mean, masterclass level shit,
Mhm.
right? Like, just wow.
Beautiful.
Just wow. Wow.
So good.
Very impressed. Very
Yeah.
impressed.
And then they wheel Lestat out to the garbage. Like roll him
Yep.
up in I think they roll him up in like a rug or something. Bring him out to the
Mm-hmm.
garbage cuz Louis like I cannot incinerate him. I can't do it. I
Yep. Which is a
yeah.
mistake.
And that's so then they go to Europe. The interview's like
I'm like,
the interviewer calling it out though. He's like, "You want Lestat to come back to life. That's why you put him out of the
yep.
garbage. You knew he'd have
Yep.
access to rats."
Yep. What is in a fucking landfill?
Mhm.
What's in a trash heap? Fucking rats. Big juicy ones that feast off the land. You fucking knew it was gonna happen. You wanted him to come back. Yo, that moment is like you can feel all the air go out of the room. Like Louis's face, he's like, like he gets this petulant, like, no kind of face
Me?
on. And Daniel's like, no, you're not getting out of this
Yeah.
one. I know. I know all about it.
And then
You
Rashid
want this man to come back.
deciding to break this fight up by levitating in the background,
Yo,
red-eyed. And
yo,
then he's like, "I am
yo.
514 years old. My name is Armand." And I'm like,
Chill
"Sir?
out.
What?
Chill out. Daniel's like, I've seen you walk around in the sun. He goes, yeah, I'm so old it doesn't affect me anymore. Like, I'm
Wild."
ancient. Like, I'm beyond old. And I'm just like, and I love it because like anyone who hasn't read the book is just like, so he's a vampire too. Oh my God. But if you've read the book, you go, Armand.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Right. Like
So
it
good.
hits so different. Yo, I wrote down, I was like, man, like white fans who were already mad at Louis being black are probably livid now. They're like, all the vampires are black. Ugh. Granted, Rashid is not black, but he's brown enough.
Yeah.
Okay. He's a dark-skinned Swana man, and he looks very handsome. Slight, but very handsome.
Mhm.
And now I'm obsessed and I need season 2 to be out right now. It ended and I was
I
just
know.
like, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. I need season 2. Where's
Yeah.
season 2? You don't have it? Let's
Yeah,
start
what the
recording
heck?
right
Bring
now.
it out.
Let's call everybody up.
Literally.
Let's
We
go.
gotta get
Let's
this thing
go.
out of here.
Chop chop. Come on.
I
We got
did
stuff to do,
not
guys.
think he was gonna be Armand. That thought
Me
never crossed
either.
my mind.
I'll be real. I'm not mad about it.
No.
I'm not upset. And I'll be honest with you, I have a theory. I think that next season, right, in general. So we
Mhm.
know that in the book, at the end of this 1976 interview, that Louis is with
Yeah.
Armand. So if Louis is still
Mhm.
with Armand in 2023, I imagine that the way
Mhm.
this story ends is not with Louis talking about Armand and Claudia and all that stuff. I think it ends
Mhm.
with Louis kind of just going off to a bar and meeting this guy, because obviously Armand is
Mhm.
there with him. So I feel like instead of that kind of breakup that we get at the end of the book, um, Louis is just kind of trying to still bide his time with Armand, but he has a wandering eye, which is why Armand is in the background of
Mhm.
that scene where he's talking to fucking Daniel for the first time,
Mhm.
right? Because he's kind of like, you can see too at the end of episode 6, he looks annoyed. He's just like, okay, can we go? Are you ready? Right? Like, he's just like, can we leave here? Like, I'm tired of this party. Like, you can tell that he's
Yeah.
like not enjoying himself, very much like he isn't in the book. And when Daniel asks, like when he's talking to Armand at the end of the last episode, like he kind of says, like, I've been his companion and I watch over him and I make sure he doesn't make all the wrong mistakes, and he doesn't make the wrong moves. Like it's almost like he's his owner. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Not necessarily his owner, but like his humble servant in quotation marks, but like
Yeah.
he has the upper hand, or he wouldn't have shown himself like that. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
I think that the long game is that, because we know that there are certain pages torn out of Claudia's journals, I
Mhm.
personally wonder if the story is going to remain the same, that Claudia dies and she's killed by the Theatre de
Yeah.
Vampire, right? I think that all of that is still real, but I kind of
Mhm.
wonder if the way that this is going to end is Daniel bears witness to Louis killing Armand, because I wonder if Daniel is the one who's going to ask the right questions to get Louis to
Mhm.
realize that Armand is the one who had Claudia killed. I think that's the long game.
Mm.
I kind of
Maybe.
wonder, I'm
I
really
also
wondering,
wouldn't be
or if
mad.
yeah.
I wouldn't be mad if they don't kill Claudia, to be honest. Like, I know it might
Me
bother
either.
some people,
I'll
but
be
if
real.
they decide not
Yeah,
to, and they do something different, I would be okay with
agree.
it.
That wouldn't hurt me. I agree. That would
Yeah.
not hurt me, especially if I got like fucking 80-year-old Claudia doing disco vampire shit. That would probably make me pretty happy. Um, I don't know why I'm obsessed
Yeah.
with disco vampires. It's just because it's great. It's like, eternal nightlife. But but yeah, I don't know. And I also want to know how we're getting Lestat back in the picture, because I don't think next season can just be the two of them. They're gonna have to embellish that story. I'm sure they're gonna put him on the ship.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
they're gonna have more of a conversation of him on the ship in
You know,
this
it'd be
next one.
cute if Claudia is still alive, if she's like going to college or something and like pops
Mm-hmm.
in while they're doing the interview and she's like, "Hey, spring break, I just thought I'd come by and see you. How have you been?" And
Yes,
she's like, "Oh, you're
adorable.
doing like an interview?" That'd be cute. Like if she's still
Yeah,
around and just like basically doing like the Edward Cullen situation where she just keeps going to
yeah,
different colleges and she's like, "I got
yeah,
30 degrees.
yeah. So cute.
And 7 PhDs, and I just kind of keep doing my own thing. I would love that. I wouldn't be mad. Or if
I'm
they're like,
very big
"Oh,
into
Claudia,
that.
like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah," they're like, "How do you make your money?" And she goes, "Oh, I sell my art online." Like super
Yep.
modern day energy. I would
Yes.
be super
Yes.
happy with that.
Fantastic. A plus all around. Very
Let
into it.
Claudia be a smut
Um,
author. I don't care.
it's all I want. I
Hmm.
also wouldn't mind if Claudia like starts showing Lestat like tendencies but doesn't realize it.
Oh my
Like
god.
Claudia has like a steady boyfriend and a girl on the side and is like, "What do you
And
mean? I'm a vampire. I can love whoever I want." Louis like, "That's obviously not the point I'm trying to make at all.
mhm.
You're being like him." And she's like, "Well, I fucking hate you. How dare you compare me to my
Yeah.
father? I don't like that.
Yep.
That's not okay. You've crossed the line." Like
Hmm.
those are the arguments that I want in season 2.
Oh
That's what
my
I want.
god, it'd be beautiful.
Hmm.
The fight
Yeah.
of being like, "You're just like your father," and she's like, "Don't bring ice cream in my house."
Yep. Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
I'm so excited! I
I'm
can't wait
dying.
for season 2.
Me too. Me too. They just started filming it in March, and I'm like, ugh. So when is it going to be
Bring
done?
it, yeah, literally, bring it out here.
Halloween? It better be out. It better be out in Halloween. You guys better hurry up with your editing. And of course, there's a writer's strike right now, so probably
Oh
not.
yeah, probably not.
Probably not.
Pay your writers
Everything's
better,
going to be on
people.
hold. I mean, hello. It's so funny. This writer's strike is happening, and like, I'm not seeing very many people sticking up for the studios, but like,
Mhm.
all writers should strike because, I mean, obviously, you know that I'm in and out of advertising, sort of still trying to decide if I'm going back to it. And writers
Mhm.
are very unfairly compensated there as well. Like, when, you know, Jason, who's a designer, started working at the same ad agency that I was at, they offered him for a lower title, right? His title was not at the
Mhm.
same level as my title. And he was making $25,000 more for a job that was a different level.
That's
And
insane.
I was like, I get it. I'm a black lady shaped person. He is a white man. That's already going to
Mhm.
have a difference of a different weight as far as how much we're getting paid because the world is a
Mhm.
dumpster fire. However, the fact that he's a designer also is another one, right? Because people will go, "Oh, well, if you're a designer, you have to know how to use specialized programs." And it's like if you're a writer, you have to know fucking basic English, y'all. So many people don't even know there and there. So understand,
Yeah.
like, writers are constantly evolving, writers are doing research. We like there's so much more than just I'm going to sit on my computer and have, you know, just like write a basic tweet, you know what I mean, just shit post.
Mhm.
Like that's not what writers do. Like we think about, you know, what's going to excite the reader, what's going to draw someone's eye, what's going to, you know, if it's something that's like pop culture based, right, what's the right thing to say for
Mhm.
like a Star Wars Day tweet that's going to be viral, right? Like there's so much
Mhm.
craft and delicacy to writing, whether it's, you know, copywriting for ads or something huge like writing, you know, a screenplay for like a film or a movie. So the idea that like
Mhm.
writers aren't being paid well is just mind blowing to me because that's literally who makes the stories, right? You can have
Yeah.
beautiful design and it's just art. Without copy, it's
Mhm.
not advertising, right? The ad is the
Yeah.
writing. Like the
Mhm.
copy in a movie, you can have a silent film. Even silent films, they just don't have speaking parts. They still have copy. There's still text on the screen.
Mhm.
Like it's an integral part of the creative process to have words along with your images.
Mhm.
And the idea that people just like try to downplay that is mind-boggling to me. And
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a lot of really good things get canceled because of this writer's strike, which like if that's the sacrifice, that's the sacrifice. You know what I mean? Like I'm willing to pay
Mhm.
for it. There's plenty of shit that I need to catch up on that's been out for forever that I haven't seen. I'm not dying, right? I can watch
You
everything that's
know
already
me.
out. It's not a big
I don't
deal.
know what's going on. So I'm still trying to
Listen, I'm
catch up
saying
from like 6 years ago.
you have even more shows to watch than I do. You have shows that you need to watch from the last writer's strike. Back in
Yeah.
fucking 2000 what 6 2007 I think there was a writer's strike back then. Like that's what
Okay.
you need to be working on that, you know.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole reason I switched from copywriting to being like social media management and like doing the
Mm-hmm.
corporate side is because I looked at the salary ranges of both of those. I'm like, just kidding. Just
Yeah, it's a
kidding. Never
joke.
mind.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Like it's the same thing with either writing for or doing social media management, right? Like that
Mhm.
does have a writing component to it, but like because older white dudes don't understand social media, they're like I'm willing to pay somebody good money to do this job that I couldn't do myself. But they look
Mhm.
at someone like me and they're like a black lady writer, I can surely write as well as her.
Yeah.
Surely I can write as well as them, right? Like okay,
Yeah.
thanks sir, right? Fuck you.
It's also that whole like people thinking that now they can just have AI create captions with them. And I'm like,
Get
don't do
out of
that.
here.
Please don't do
It's
that.
gonna be
We
bad.
can all
It's all
tell.
gonna be terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I
we
will say
absolutely can
I've been
tell.
using Chat GPT when I'm feeling lazy to like come up with ideas for meals, which has been pretty great. But like, don't ever use it creatively. You know, it just doesn't
No.
work. Use it as like a research tool, you know? Like I've made it
Hmm.
make a leg day routine for me when I was like my brain no thoughts, head empty. Give me a couple
Yeah,
workouts and I'll do them. But like
yeah, I could
never
see
should
that.
replace people.
No, no, no emotion.
Yeah.
There's no emotion in it. There's no power in it. Like
Yeah.
I don't know. AI will replace us all.
We can we can't get into that right now. We
No,
have too
that's a
many
whole other
thoughts.
podcast.
Yeah.
We'll read 1984 and then we'll talk.
I do have episodes of 1984, so you guys can go listen to those.
Do a rehash. So let's
Yeah,
talk
I feel
about
like we need
AI
to.
in the
Yeah.
lens of 1984. Let's discuss.
Literally.
Let's read I Am Robot. I'm pretty sure it's just a novella, but it's fine. We can read it.
I mean, worth it.
Yeah.
But we will see you all next week with something new.
Yep.
And if you want to listen
Yay.
on Patreon, make sure to check out Queen of the Damned, which we will be talking about soon.
Yay.
Woo! And I will see you all lovely people later. Where can the people of the internet find you, Candace?
You can find me at that Candace girl, Candace, over on Twitter, where I post about all the stuff that's going on, including the pilot for Swift Spark in the Defense 5, which hopefully will be coming to a streaming service or television series near you sometime soon. You can also find me over at Candace the Magnificent on Twitch and other associated platforms. If you are interested in watching Lego builds or video game streams or ukulele concerts, I'll be over there hanging out. But yeah, and hopefully I'll be on more Barely Bookish in the future when there's something ridiculous to read and comment on.
Probably that Mist of Avalon is what we're going to do next. I foresee it.
I'm not lying to
Yeah.
you. It is Diesel. It is a big ass, thick ass book. It is a mama book. So
Yeah.
if you want to do like a Spark Notes version of Mists of Avalon, I'm also open to that. But if you want to read it, it is a great read. It is quite good.
Yeah.
I won't lie.
Okay. Maybe we'll
Mhm.
do it like little parts or something. I don't know. We'll see.
Sounds good. Yeah. Awesome.
All right. But we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.